Tune into the Salsa Kings Network. Crack one open if you dare, creeps.
Kids today need discipline. It's an unpopular word these days, discipline. I know Principal Flutie would have said kids need understanding. Kids are human beings. It's the kind of woolly-headed liberal thinking that leads to being eaten.
I think perhaps it was a little more complex than...
This place has quite a reputation, you know. Suicide, missing persons, spontaneous cheerleader combustion. You can't put up with that. You've got to keep an eye on the bad element.
And welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Buffy. We are just two boys watching every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We are your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I am Vance.
And today we're talking about episode 9, The Puppet Show, directed by Ellen S. Pressman and written by Rob Deshotel and Dean Batali. The original air date was May 5th, 1997, to an audience of 2.56 million people. And our worst fears were confirmed.
It's a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah.
And we kind of predicted it from the title. Yeah. And it's one of the, I gotta say, this might be my favorite episode so far.
We were talking before we started recording. This show keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, this one, lots of twists, lots of turns, lots of funny moments, a lot of meta humor. Like, they nailed it in this one. Yeah,
this episode had it all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, twists like that I didn't see coming.
Not at all.
I didn't see that coming at all. Yeah, man. And then like misdirects on where you think it's gonna go, and then dude, it was fucking great.
And they did some stuff that I've been wanting them to do
absolutely
since the beginning.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. We start off the episode with students rehearsing and preparing for a talent show that's happening at Sunnydale High School. We see good old Cordelia singing. And she's terrible. I completely forgot that character's name, so I just kept writing charisma in my notes. But
her singing has no charisma. But we got to talk about the way it opens, like the immediate opening, which is like this creepy voice saying, "I will be whole, I will be new," and like we're watching like a dancer stretching, this girl stretching, and it's real pervy.
Yeah, it is very weird.
Which is a great setup too for what happens later. You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then we're like kind of scrolling past like the dancer lady, then we see some guy like trying to do magic tricks, and then we see the guy with the ventriloquist dummy. And then we see Charisma Carpenter doing her singing routine for the talent show. And Giles is watching in the auditorium for some reason. And upon first viewing, you're like, why the hell is Giles doing this? And then Xander, Willow, and Buffy come in. They're like, hey, Giles, why the hell are you doing this? So that was some good self-awareness. But Giles has been strong-armed into interacting with the students a bit more by the new principal, Principal Snyder.
Which seems like a very 90s thing to do, not a very 2020, 2000s thing to do. Hey, librarian, creepy librarian, could you hang out with the kids a little more?
Yeah.
Like, it's just not...
Well, the term that they keep using for it, too, is they keep saying, like, get more in touch with the kids. And there's a lot of, like, talk of touch and feel. And it's like, ugh.
And also, like, is there not a drama teacher? Is there not anyone else that would have wanted to do this? Like, what?
Yeah. I mean, and Giles has a perfectly good explanation. He's like, yeah, I became a librarian so I didn't have to deal with kids.
Yeah. I also thought it was funny when they all come in and they all just sit around him. Wouldn't everyone else be like, why do they hang out with the librarian all the time? Like,
Yeah,
that
dude.
would make you kind of an outcast in the group.
Absolutely it would.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like the librarian's like a cool, hot teacher or something, you know?
Yeah, it just wouldn't be like, you guys are like around him way too much. Like,
Yeah.
you're staying after school. Yeah.
Yeah. So they come in and they're like kind of shitting on Giles. They're like, oh, sucks to be you. Glad we don't have to do any of this stuff. And he's like, would you please like sign up for this? Because, you know, it would make it a less terrible. And they're like, no, dude, we don't want to participate in no lame talent show. And then they stand up and the new Principal Snyder, standing right behind them. And he's like, oh, you think this is lame? You think that teachers are lame? You think that authority figures are lame? Well, guess what? You're signed up for the talent show now.
My thought, I do love that Buffy references the opening when she's talking to Giles. She's like, in every generation, there's a watcher that becomes a drama, like a talent show host or something. Like, she's referencing that like opening that we've been kind of making fun of forever, which I don't think is going away now.
Yeah, I know. It went away for like 1 or 2 episodes, but now it's just a fixture.
Yeah. But what could the principal do if they decided not to do it?
Yeah,
Give
I know.
him detention?
Well, it's also like, if they don't have a talent, like, I think that his mindset is like, you three are always in trouble or causing trouble, so you're gonna, like, your punishment is to embarrass yourself? I don't...
Well, he says, it's great. He says, oh, what were you guys doing? You guys skipped a class yesterday. And Buffy's like, we were fighting a demon. I mean, Like, you've been making excuses for so long and you can't ever... When put on the spot, she just says what she was doing.
Yeah, so I also think that this would lead us to believe that there are demons and stuff that we are not seeing on screen that they're fighting.
Oh, yeah. No, always. Because, like, they reference... Like, sometimes they'll pick up and she just got finished fighting a demon or something. Like, they... Yeah, she's fighting... The demon kill ratio is very high.
Yeah.
And then the principal references things are going to be different. I'm not going to be nice like the other one. That's led him to being eaten.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, so he knows what happened to the last principal.
Yeah. He's like, he was talking to Giles and he's like, you know, Principal Flutie, he was all about understanding and touchy and feely. There's no more of that stuff. That's what led to him being eaten. And it's like, why would you take this job, dude? You know? Like, I think that they were trying to have it be like he was eaten alive. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't handle the pressure.
Yeah.
But then, like, I think later on in the episode, he's just like, no, students are being killed here. And the principal got his head chopped off.
And cheerleaders' hands are catching on fire. Something's up with this school. I'm not going to have it anymore. And I was like, yes, at least you're acknowledging this.
Yeah.
But it's also super weird that you think these 3 kids are involved, but not supernaturally.
Well, it's also weird that he thinks like some discipline and like, like there's people spontaneously combusting and being murdered and heads being chopped off. And he's like, these kids need some structure.
Yeah. Just, you know, like murder's just like childhood antics, you know?
Yeah. But not detention.
Yeah.
Talent show.
My God. Yeah.
Just wants to embarrass these children.
I was just so happy that they're making references to all the chaos that's happened in the school.
Yeah, I feel like we were inserted into this. We're like the principal now. We're just like, what's going on here? There's all these murders happening. The principal got eaten. Like, I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't like this at all.
Something's up here. So after that, Morgan, who is the guy with the dummy, and Sid, who is the dummy, it's time for their, I guess, audition or practice run for the show. And Morgan is a terrible ventriloquist.
My God. I was watching that and I'm like, he's not even trying.
No, he's moving his lips like it's out in the open.
Yeah.
There's no hiding it. And he has this weird voice for the dummy. And then all of a sudden, the dummy changes voices and starts talking seemingly on its own. Mm-hmm. And that's when you're just like, oh, here we go. Strap in.
Yep.
This is the episode we're in for.
Yeah.
We have a talking dummy. And Buffy's like, dummies always gave me the creeps. And Xander's like, what? Why? What are you, dumb?
And Willow's like, oh, I think they're kind of hot. And I'm like, geez, Willow.
Yeah, right. Willow is desperate, dude.
Yeah. And she's like, why? What happened, Buffy? And she's like, nothing. It's just, I saw one once and I don't like it. It gave me the creeps. There's not a story. And I was like, that's so perfect.
Yeah. There doesn't need to be a story for everything.
Yeah.
I'm just creeped out by it.
Yeah. You don't need a long backstory. It's awesome.
Yeah. So then Sid starts talking on its own, and then we kind of get, I guess, a close-up of Buffy's face being like,
Yeah, but everyone else is cracking up on these old jokes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the horny,
Yeah.
the off-color humor dummy. So then we get a cut to the ballet girl that we saw in the beginning, whose name is Emily. We got a cut to her alone in a dark and scary locker room.
The murder locker room, man. The murder locker room that you should never be in without two other people.
Yeah.
Like, that locker room is doomed. Like, why would you ever go to the locker room in this school?
I think there was like 2 or 3 killings in that locker room.
Yeah.
Like,
and Buffy almost was electrocuted in that one, too.
Yeah.
Like, they're so...
just dead bodies littering this locker room, and people are still like, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, she hears a locker open. She's like, hello? Is anybody there?
I don't know why I'm still here.
Yeah.
All I was doing was stretching.
Yeah. Goes to investigate, and something comes up from behind her and says, I will be flesh.
Yes. I mean, what an opening to this show. Like, this is right before the opening credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? So good.
Yeah.
And then the opening credits happen with the ow. Yet to see a werewolf.
Can't wait.
So then we come back from the opening credits, and Xander, Willow, and Buffy are practicing for the talent show, and their idea is that they're going to do like a dramatic monologue from some kind of Shakespearean play. And Xander's like, I can't do this. This is awful. And they're like, this is the easiest way to participate in this if we don't have any talents. And Xander's like, we got a lot of talents. And Buffy's like, what do you want me to kill vampires on stage? It's like, you've done that at LeBron's.
Yes. My thought was, Buffy, just do some flips and cartwheels.
Yes.
Do some high jumps.
Yeah, she was almost a cheerleader.
Yeah, I mean, she's super strong, and we can see her like doing pull-ups and handstands. Just do some cartwheels across the stage.
Be like me and do some Cirque du Soleil kind of shit.
Sure.
She would excel at that.
She would. Absolutely. She's super strong. She could do
some acro yoga or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Xander's like, well, Willow, you play piano. And she's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, well, why don't you play piano and we can like try and sing? And she's like, oh, play in front of people? I don't play piano.
Which playing piano seems like it would be the easiest thing to do in front of people, because no one would really care. Your acting's not going to be good. The piano's not going to be good. You're doing this as a weird punishment, I guess.
Yeah.
So
for, making people spontaneously combust and stuff. For all the murders that's been happening that you are somehow linked to.
I was like, just bring this principal in on it, Like, at some point, he's going to find out. It would just help to have the principal in your back pocket. Be like, hey, we killed demons and vampires. Yeah. Give us some leeway. And he's like, yeah, sure, cool.
Yeah. I feel like they probably will try to do something like that. Yeah. And he'll be like, oh, you kids and your lies.
Well, they don't believe Buffy when she tells them something. So, of course, why would they?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that. So after they take a little break, Sid the dummy starts like macking on Willow. And she's like, hey, Sid, you're getting pretty good at that. Like, I can't even see her lips move. And he's like, hey, why don't you come over here, sweet cheeks? It's like, you know what they say, once you go wood, nothing else is as good or something, something like that. And Buffy's like, oh, great, the horny dummy routine. And then Sid's like, why don't you come over here, little blondie or what?
Which when you find out about the end, it's like, yeah, this guy's a fucking horn dog.
Yeah, I love it.
And she's like, turn you into a Dora flame log or something, you know?
Yeah.
And he had to look like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, because at this point, everybody thinks that it's Morgan still. And they're like, Morgan, cut it out.
Yeah.
Or I'll fucking take your dummy and light him on fire.
How talented do they think Morgan is?
Well, he's the smartest guy in school, Vance.
Even though he's missed half the school year.
Well, also...
that ending's great.
They saw him like 2 seconds ago be terrible at this ventriloquist dummy shit. Like they saw him being awful at it, and now all of us they're like, wow, you've really improved in like half of a day.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so fun. So the new principal shows up again. He keeps shitting on.
Wait, have we found out about the girl, the dead body yet?
No, not yet.
Still haven't found out. Okay.
No, because then the new principal comes in and he's talking to Giles and he's shitting on the old principal again and he's shitting on Buffy, Xander, and Willow and he's suspicious of them. He's like, you know, all this crazy stuff keeps happening, and I'm telling you, those three are linked to it. And it's like, based off of what?
And I'm conveniently going to put them in the place where all the weird stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't even be around it.
Exactly. So now, this is where he goes on a diatribe about like, there will be no more principals eaten. Yeah. There will be no more hands bursting into flames. There will be no more murders. It's going to be orderly, calm, and quiet. And then smash cut to a girl screaming her lungs out. Because she finds Emily, the ballet dancer lady's body, dead in the locker room.
And there are like coroners. There's a police officer there. Like there's actually investigations. there's actually a little bit of like something.
Not only is there an investigation, there's like evidence found.
Yeah.
They found a knife that whoever did this used to cut out her heart.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. Why does that knife show back up at the end?
There's just knives all over the place, Vance.
Why is this brand of knife is just like break in case of emergency in the school instead of like the axe that's just like
just a giant knife.
Yeah.
Chef's knife.
Yeah.
Oh god.
But yeah, Giles comes out and he tells them like, they're like, what happened? And like, well, she was murdered and her heart was cut out. And it's just like, yo,
that is
school shut down.
Gruesome, grisly murdered.
Yeah. Like,
and then they're like, well, I gotta go to chemistry. Like there's still students walking around with backpacks
like
on.
Someone in the talent show was murdered and their heart was taken. Like, that's a wrap. Like, that's...
How many months do you think Buffy's been in this school? Do you think we're in like 3 to 4?
I think we're in the spring.
You think we're in the spring? Okay, so that's 7-ish months, I guess.
It's not been long enough for this stuff to be happening.
Well, it's like there's been a murder there a month.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like more than that, because there's been multiple people killed at certain times. Like in this episode alone, there are two students killed.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't know how they reconcile their bodies. Like, whose parent is going to the talent show? Being like, yeah, my daughter was in a talent show. Then she was murdered in the bathroom. Her heart was taken. We never found the killer, but I want to see these kids perform. Like, what? Like, who? Like, you shut down the talent show. Like, they don't shut anything down. Cops don't investigate anything. And my favorite part is afterwards, they're like, wow, it must have been, they're like, demons don't use knives. But and Buffy's like, but it has to be a demon or something spooky. I'm like, or it could just be a serial killer.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the serial killer is definitely more creepy than it being a demon.
Yeah, because it could be anybody. It could even be Willow.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Yeah. It could be me.
It could be me. I mean, it's not.
I was like, man, if it is Willow, this episode would have been like top ever for me. If it turned out to be Willow somehow.
Well, I don't know how they get to the point of like, well, it has to be someone in the talent show. Or no. They actually didn't. They were like, let's interview everybody that's in the talent show. Mm-hmm. And see like who saw her last. So now they're doing some detective work.
A little Law and Order interview style of just that montage of them asking people around.
Yeah, so Buffy's talking to some tuba playing lady, and she's like, yeah, you know, it's weird. I saw her and she was talking to that guy Morgan with the dummy. And Buffy's like, Then Willow's talking to some guy with red hair. I don't know what he was doing.
Juggler or something in the company.
Yeah. So she's talking to him and he's like, yeah, you know, it's actually funny because I saw that guy Morgan. He was acting weird. The Morgan with the dummy. He was scratching his head and he's looking all stressed and crazy. And she's like, Morgan. Huh?
I love that there's not any, he doesn't go like, oh yeah, the police asked me about this too. He's just like.
So then.
Super cash.
Xander is interviewing Cordelia, Charisma Carpenter. And she's like, it's just so crazy. It could have been me. I could have been killed. And Xander's just like, if only we were so lucky.
She's like, Emma was my best friend. And she's like, Emily.
Yeah.
So good. So good.
So they all reconvene with Giles. And they're like, you know what? We all talked to all these people. And they all are pointing to that guy Morgan with the dummy because he's being creepy. And Giles is like, you know what? That makes sense. That guy is kind of weird. And so then they're like, all right, well, let's talk to Morgan and see what he has to say for himself.
Wait, is this before or after they look through the book and find out about the 7 demons or something? I can't remember, but
I think this is before that.
Okay, because there's like 2 parts where they look up what might be happening.
Yeah.
He really needs to digitize all of these books so he can just hit the search and find feature.
Yeah. So Buffy goes and talks to Morgan, and Morgan is alone in the auditorium talking to Sid, and Sid is talking back. And Buffy comes in and she's like, what are you doing? He's like, why are you practicing? He's like, oh, I'm just practicing for the show. She's like, wow, you're getting really good at that. And so he's just acting all sorts of suspicious. Mm-hmm. Like, he is just like, look, it's not me. Something's going on here. And quit asking questions. I don't want anybody to get hurt. And Buffy's like,
There's a lot of, this is weird.
Yeah, but I won't do anything about this.
I should just destroy the dummy and just call it a day. Just like right away. But no.
Yeah, so he's just like, look, you don't want to get involved in this. And he puts the dummy in the case and she's looking at the dummy and the dummy's looking at her. And it's like this back and forth, like, something's up here. Yeah. And then Morgan, like, just leaves. So then they talk to Giles about Morgan. They're like, yep, I talked to that guy. He was fucking weird, man. And I think this is when Giles is like talking about the demons.
I found a passage about 7 demons to harvest organs to be there. He's just like, every time he gets information, he just stutters over himself.
Yeah, and so the demons need to harvest organs in order to become human again, I think, or flesh.
Yeah.
I will become flesh. And so that's what he thinks is happening. So they're all like, okay, well, Buffy, why don't you go check out Morgan's locker and see if there's anything suspicious going on?
like a human heart, she says.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what do they think she's going to find?
No idea. I mean, Morgan is the smartest person in school. You would think that he would hide the heart.
Yeah.
So Willow looks up his locker number and Buffy goes to the locker and she's like, all right, let me just smashes, punches right through it.
Yeah, she just punches the like combination lock out. And I'm like, so they'll definitely know that you broke in.
Right?
Like, and I gotta say,
hold on, Morgan's gonna come into school the next day and see this.
The principal, anybody walking by, like now his locker's just open and exposed.
Yeah.
I do want to say it's no possible way for that case to fit in a school locker.
No.
And that wasn't like one of those tall ones. It was like the double stacked ones.
Yeah, it was one of the half.
Yeah. It's no way that dummy case that looked like a traveling suitcase fits into that locker.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So she opens it up. The dummy suitcase is in there. And just as she's like starting her investigation, Principal Snyder sneaks up from behind her. He's like, what are you doing here after hours? No student should ever be in school after hours. What are you doing?
Yeah, because we start seeing like an angle of someone peeking through a door. And then it's like kind of like that closed locker jump scare shoulder touch thing. And I just love his reasoning. He's like, students aren't allowed after school. I'm not going to allow hearts being removed. And I don't allow smoking.
Yeah. Like, I forgot about that.
This is the second anti-smoking thing that we've seen in the show.
Yeah.
He's like,
there will be no more decapitations, no more murders, and no smoking.
Yeah.
So Buffy's like, well, I'm just in this locker. My friend wanted me to pick something up for him. And then she looks in the locker, looks into the dummy case. Dummy's gone. And she's like, and then she looks at Principal Snyder and she's like, I guess he already got it. Goodbye.
She does a good move where she closes the locker and stays in front of the lock. So he can't see that the lock hole's that broken. Yeah. And then we see the dummy and Morgan who have been peeking in together, and then they like slink away. Yeah.
Close the door, kind of.
Yeah.
So after that, we start to kind of hear Morgan.
Did they
and
know
Sid.
that she was going to go to their locker? Like, why are they right there?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But then we have a scene where Sid and Morgan are talking, and they're like, Sid's like, we gotta kill her. And Sid's like, no, we can't. I don't want to kill her. He's like, did you see how strong she is? That's insane. We have to kill this person. And Morgan's like, oh, I thought this was over. And then Sid's just like, fine, I'll do it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we get to Buffy's home life.
Yeah.
And the mom is like, so what's up with this talent show? I kind of want to see it. And Buffy's like, please, God, for the love of God, don't. I have zero talent whatsoever. And the mom's like, geez, I just want to see you. She's like, are you okay? Buffy's like, there's just a lot of stuff going on at school.
Like someone's heart being carved out of their chest in the woman's locker room. Like this is a day later. And the mom's like, you seem troubled.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's like, yeah, there's been at least 7 people killed in my school.
Yeah, the principal that was eaten to death, the new one's really ragging on us. And then a girl was murdered in the locker room. But yeah, I'm just like, I'm just not feeling talent show.
Yeah, it's great. Like, this is like pre anyone knowing about anxiety or like PTSD. like nobody gave a shit.
Yeah,
they're just like, what? Well, so what? Some kid got murdered in school. Who cares?
Yeah, you got a talent show to do.
What you doing for your talent?
Oh, they were killed on stage? We'll just clean up the blood and go on.
Yeah, the mom offers the completely reasonable suggestion. You just need some sleep.
Yeah.
So she leaves. Buffy's like, you know what? That might be good. And she shuts out the light. And then, dun, 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 the dummy is at her window. Was a pretty good jump scare.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Pretty good.
I appreciated that. I was like, that's great.
So then we come back from commercial break and Buffy's asleep. The window's open. You hear a little pitter patter of dummy feet.
You have to have that in there. They didn't do the big shadows. But they did a lot of pitter patter.
Yeah, a lot of.
Where are you? Like how?
What's that?
So how the dummy is like super speed because they always like all over the place, and it's always running for no reason. Like it doesn't have to run through rafters. You don't have to do all this stuff.
So Buffy wakes up. She hears something. She's like, "What the hell? What's going on in here?" She hears the pitter patter. She looks under her bed. Nothing there. Comes back up. Dummy's in the bed with her.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Wah!" Screams. Mom immediately opens the door. She's like, "What? What's going on, Buffy?" She's like, "Oh, just something's in here. Something's in my room." She opens the covers and there's nothing there. She can't see the dummy. Mm-hmm. The mom is like, "Oh, you must have just had a nightmare. I was just dreaming about high bills."
I was just dreaming about paying bills. I'm like, man, they give her some of the worst lines.
Well, it's also like, as soon as Buffy screamed, the mom opened the door. That mom must have been sleeping, right? Standing up outside of Buffy's door.
When she screamed when Angel turned into a vampire in front of her, it took her like a long while to get there.
Yeah, maybe she learned her lesson or something. Maybe she's like, I got to be closer to this lady. She set up a cot outside of her door.
Yeah. I thought it was weird that Buffy's like, it's under the bed. And she reverted into like a 10-year-old kid afraid of monsters. And she's like, I was like, do you want your mom to look under the bed? Do you think she can help you in this situation? Like, you are the slayer. Like, your mom is going to get killed as soon as she'll get sucked underneath the bed if that happens.
Yeah.
Mom doesn't even check, though. Mom doesn't even check.
Mom is just like, you know what? I got bills to pay. Go back to bed. Yeah. And Buffy's like, you know what? That's a good idea. And also, hey, Buffy, don't sleep with the window open. And then Mom...
she does say like leaves. That. Hey, Buffy, don't sleep with the window open. Wink, wink.
And then so Buffy whispers to herself, but I didn't. Oh, what is it?
I think I know why the mom's dreaming about bills. It's because of when she threw Angel through that window.
Oh, yeah.
She had to like replace
didn't they
half the house.
Didn't Angel
jump out
himself jump out of a window and then he got thrown out of a window?
Yeah.
And then there's these hospital bills that she's got to pay because she was bitten by a vampire.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Those dreams make sense.
Yeah. So the next day, Buffy goes to the auditorium with Xander and Willow and Giles, and she's like, I think the dummy was in my room last night. And Xander is just like, what are you fucking talking about, you dumb bitch? He's so dismissive, as if he hadn't seen robots, Ivy woman, vampires, demons, like...
Right?
And he himself turned into a hyena.
Yeah. Like, but... yeah, but, this puppet, this dummy came to life, and we've been reading about demons? Yeah, no, Buffy's insane.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a cat.
Yeah. Yeah, the cat thing is like, you mean, like a cat? And it jumps out. I'm like, what cat do you know is jumping into windows, scaring you, jumping out of, like...
What cat do you know can open a window? Like, Xander is just belligerent in this.
And the rest of them are like, I don't know. Let's just focus on Morgan, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah. And you know, Willow's got a crush on the dummy, so she's not going to say it's evil.
Yeah. Well, Giles does he's like, well, it could be a demon, but I don't know. Let's just keep an eye on the situation.
Xander goes hard on her.
Yeah. It was like unreasonable.
I guess Xander doesn't have a crush on her anymore because he is not trying to.
No, he's not. He's just basically like, you dumb bitch. Like, it's like
unless you're trying to neg her down. I don't know what's happening.
So then after this, they're in class. And I loved this scene.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the head turn reminded me of when the praying mantis teacher did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're in history class. I know this because I'm reading it on Wikipedia.
I was about to be like, you nerd, you were listening to the teacher during the scene.
Nope. So Buffy is in there and she's sitting behind Morgan and Sid, the dummy, is sitting on Morgan's desk and Morgan's got his hand up Sid the dummy.
And taking notes with his other hand.
Who does what kind of
Thank you. I wrote that down. I was like, why would he have the dummy on his hand during class? And they're in the middle of class. It's not like they just sat down.
No, yeah, the teacher's doing a lecture.
Like, yeah, she's walking around. She has seen this. It's not like he whipped it out in the middle of class or something. He's just sitting there with the dummy on his hand. Yeah. Like the dummy was like, hey, I want to learn about this. Like, what?
Yeah. So Buffy's staring, and then, the dummy does the whole head turn around and stare back at Buffy. And Cordelia's sitting next to her, and she's like, looks like somebody's got a crush on you.
And Buffy's, like, completely freaked out.
Yeah.
Like, the first she, like, looks away and, like, looks down, and then looks back up, and is still just staring at her.
Well, it's a good, creepy zoom in to the dummy, too.
Yeah.
And then, so, the teacher, like, calls on Morgan to answer a question. And Morgan's like, what? And she's like, you gotta pay more attention, Morgan. I know that you're the smartest guy, but you're messing around with this dummy, and I'm gonna take this dummy from you. And he's like, oh, no, don't take the dummy from me, please. And she's like,
chill, Spaz. I'm just gonna put it away until after class.
Yeah. She like puts him in a cupboard and she's like, you can pick him up after class. And he's looking like, oh no, this is the worst thing that could ever happen.
Like, I think scenes like this happen 100% in like Child's Play 1.
Oh yeah.
Like where the kid has the doll, they take it and then you're like, oh boy, that teacher's a goner.
Yeah. So class is over and and Morgan goes to pick up Sid from the cupboard from Mrs. I think her name is Miss Jackson. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Oh, I am a dummy.
I'm just gonna let you like hang.
I'll keep going.
No, it's good.
To make Buffy.
We don't have the rights for this.
So he's like, all right, class is over. Can I please get my dummy? And she's like, okay, God, calm down, guy. Let me just get him from the cupboard. She opens the cupboard.
Well, before she opens the cupboard, she like stops and then goes, wait, I want to talk to you more. You're really smart and bright and one of the best and greatest and awesome. You're the best person I've ever met. But you seem a little off. And he is like sweaty, grabbing his head, looks manic. And she's having this conversation. I'm like, he looks like he's about to have a stroke or like an aneurysm or something.
Yeah, he legit looks like he's about to pull his hair out.
Yeah.
And she's like, we gotta talk. You seem stressed.
He's like, could you take my doll back?
So she opens the cupboard. Sid is no longer there. And he's like, where is he?
What did you do with him?
She's just like, I don't know. I had him here and nobody came. And he's like, oh, this is bad.
And at this point, I'm thinking, Morgan actually might be a demon.
Yeah. I was thinking there's all kinds of misdirects in this. I was thinking Morgan's a demon. But they cut to Xander has the dummy. And he's just being a complete jackass with it. And Buffy's like, I'm trying to find Morgan. I want to talk to Morgan alone without the dummy. And he's like, you can totally do that now because I got the dummy. And she's like, Xander, put the dummy away. And he's like, why? It's an inanimate object. And he's slamming its head on the table. He's like, nothing's gonna happen.
I was really wanting it to turn its head around while he was doing that.
Me too.
And then just all out, the lights like go out in the library. And it's just him, this demon doll running around. freaking them all out.
But no, we just get some dummy abuse from Xander.
Yeah. He says some, I don't remember all the lines. He's going full in.
Yeah, he's just basically like you said, he can't have a crush on Buffy, or he must have accepted his fate of like, she's not into me.
This is real life trolling is what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's bullying her.
Yeah. And Buffy at this point still thinks that thing is evil.
Yeah.
But she's willing to like bow to peer pressure and let them keep it in the library while she goes look for Morgan.
Yeah, so she goes to like look for Morgan, and then Xander's like, Buffy! And she's like, I'm still not real.
Oh, he starts going red rum.
Oh, yeah.
From The Shining.
Yeah. So he's just being a complete ass.
Yeah.
So then Buffy goes to find Morgan in the auditorium. Principal Snyder sneaks up from behind her again. Like, he's always like right behind her.
Yeah. Good creepiness from him.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing in the auditorium now? And she's like, I'm just looking for Morgan. Have you seen Morgan? He's like, no, get out of here.
Yeah. He's like, it's not safe after all the stuff that's been going on. I was like, yeah, you guys should have security guards everywhere.
Yeah. He's like, it's not safe for a girl like you to be just alone down here. And we're like, what are you talking about, Principal Snyder?
She's like, I can take care of myself, rapey. Like,
yeah, right. And he's like, well, all right. Well, I'm leaving, but you get out of here too. So then we're in the library with Xander and the dummy. Xander puts the dummy down in a chair that's kind of like 2 seats away from him. And he's like, I got some studying to do. Willow and Giles are looking up stuff about demons. Willow finds a book that says that sometimes demons can inhabit inanimate objects like dolls or dummies. And then Xander looks at the dummy and he's like, okay, this dummy's a little freaky. Goes back to his book. Turns around. Dummy's gone. He screams, oh! Willow and Giles come running. And he's like, the dummy's gone. The dummy's gone. I don't know where the dummy went. They're like, oh, no.
They react like there's a mouse loose. Like, he's standing, like, Xander's standing on the table. And then they're like, oh, the dummy's gone. And immediately Giles and Willow are, like, looking down and throwing their arms up and, like, dancing their feet around. Like, they're like, oh. Like,
yeah.
You think this thing is just going to stab you in the ankles? Like, what?
It's also like, it could be a demon.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, this is a demon, dude. And he's just like reacting to it like, oh no.
Yeah, like, oh no, it's loose.
Somebody open the door, let him out.
I thought it was amazing that there's a section on toys and magic that Willow finds. And there's just one line that says, sometimes dolls can inhabit things and they take organs. And they're like, well, it's in a book. Buffy was right. Like, wait, Buffy was saying, hey, this thing broke into my house and I pushed it and I think it's that. And they're like, no. Then one line in a book for toys and magic. And they're like, Buffy might be right. They would not handle fake news media.
No.
They would be.
No.
They would be like, well, it was on the internet, so.
Yeah. So now Buffy is alone, still in the auditorium basement, and we see that Sid the dummy is behind her, stalking her. We see the little pitter-patter. He's somehow... Oh, Buffy finds Morgan's dead body in the auditorium. He is killed. That's student number 2 in this episode.
Yes. A student that a teacher knows very well and who is a major character in the talent show. That if he went missing, everyone would go, hey, where's the guy with the dummy? We've seen him walking around school with it all week.
Also, he is the smartest person in this school. Like, it's known.
Yeah.
Ends up dead.
His brain is taken away.
Yes.
And missing his brain. Not just like, oh, someone killed him.
Yeah.
And he's killed, and he's murdered around all the props.
Yeah.
So did they clean that up? Like, what's going on?
No, he's just like in the costume department, just like dead, scalped.
Yeah, so then what? They're like, oh, the show's on. Like, let's just step over his body and get dressed. Like, what? What is happening?
This show, man.
Yeah.
So after she finds his dead body, she hears the pitter patter of the dummy feet. It's like circling her. Then all of a sudden, tell me where the fuck this thing came from.
Right?
The dummy somehow drops an enormous chandelier on Buffy.
Like a chandelier that would be in a medieval castle.
Yeah, it's huge. It's bigger than Buffy's entire body.
Bigger than her body and big enough that it could trap her down without crushing her because of the way it's set up.
Yeah.
What is that for and why is it above the stage?
Why is it? It seems like she was in a basement, though. Like, was it on the ceiling of the basement?
And how did they remove that? Like, she could barely lift it and she's super strong.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like so heavy that Buffy, the super powerful, super strong lady who can punch through a locker, can't lift this.
Yeah, is this something that they need to get, like, the circle to form so they can move that off the... I don't even know where they are. Are they in the basement? They have to be somewhere where it's a high ceiling and rafters. So I'm thinking they're on the stage or backstage.
I think it was just a continuity error.
I don't know.
Because I thought that she was it could be backstage.
It is a weird choice to have this thing fall on her. It works for the scene, but like she can get trapped under anything, really.
So she gets trapped under this chandelier, and now this is where the episode gets good.
I mean, it was already... This is where it peaks. I mean, this is where it just like peaks 100%. Yeah. Like,
so the dummy comes out with the gigantic chef's knife, starts trying to stab at Buffy's head.
Yeah, while she's trapped. Like the first one is close too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she's wiggling her head. She's like, what the hell is going on? She's trying to lift the chandelier.
Yeah.
The dummy gets like 2 or 3 more stabs in, misses her. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. And they didn't go evil face with the dummy when it was stabbing her. It still has the same look, which made it even more terrifying in a weird way. Like, it's not screaming like, you're gonna die, all this stuff. It's just like, it's saying some things, I think, but it's just like, you just feel for Buffy, pinned down and a dummy with a knife. Where he got this knife from, again, it's the exact same knife that was used to carve out someone's heart.
So, I don't know where the jump is here, because I think that there's like a little gap in my notes here, because the last thing I see is Sid tries to stab Buffy, and then the next thing I see is Sid gives people his backstory.
Wait, you missed the whole... Wait, you missed the best part? You don't remember?
What happens?
You're so weird.
Sorry. I think I was too enthralled that I couldn't take note.
She pushes him away. She's able to lift it up a little bit and slide out.
Yeah. Right. No, I didn't miss anything. This is
the best part. Yeah, she slides out, and then he comes over, and then she pushes him against the wall, and then she does like that stunt move where you have your forearm pushed against someone against the wall. And they're like face to face, and then they're like, oh fine, you win, but you'll never be able to get those body parts or something. And she's like, wait, what? Wait, then they both like are saying the same thing to each other, and it's this like, what moment? Like, yeah, you're gonna lose anyway, and you're lose. And she's like, wait, what? And they both look at each other, and it's just super silly and funny. And then it's just a hard cut to him in the... It's like he's smoking a cigarette, sitting there, regaling all of, like, in the library, talking to Giles and everybody. And they cut to Xander's face, and he's just, like, head shaking, like, what the fuck is happening?
So, the twist of this episode is that the dummy isn't a demon. The dummy is a demon slayer.
Demon hunter.
And he is trying to find somebody to kill, because it's like
the setup of the 7. There were 7 demons that they were talking about before. He's killed 6 of them, and he's looking for the last one. And of course, they're in the school.
Yeah, and he thought that Buffy was the last demon because of how strong and powerful she was, based off of like her punching through a locker.
Mm-hmm.
And the demon in the school is like who has been killing, Morgan and Emma, because he's harvesting their organs so he can become flesh.
Yeah. And
so I was like, what a twist.
And that twist was amazing. Like, I just love, because this guy has this old-timey voice too. Like, he's got his like 1930s voice, 1950s voice, and he's just like, hey, I'm just he's super like horny too. Like,
yeah.
It's just like, he's just like, yeah, I thought you were someone else and I was trying to kill you. I just gotta kill these demons. I was cursed in this thing and I gotta reverse it. Like, it's like he's doing a stand-up routine.
It's very matter of fact. He's like, look, this is the situation we're in here.
Hey, the situation is, I thought you were a demon. You're not. Bygones be bygones. Let's figure out who it is. All right.
And so Giles makes a comment of like, well, it's nice to have somebody else explain some of this stuff for once. Yeah. And then he walks out, and then the dummy looks at the three of this Buffy, Xander, and Willow, and he's like, how the hell did that guy get this job as a watcher?
No, he doesn't say it about being a watcher. It's about the stuff, him doing the talent show.
Okay. Yeah, because he's like, oh shit, I forgot that the talent show is happening in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and they're like, it has to be someone in the talent show. He's like, do the circle of power or something. And he's like, what the hell is that? It's like, you get them all on stage and you psych them all up before the show. Like, he's like, oh yeah. And he leaves and he's like, how did this guy get this gig?
Yeah.
If he had a bow tie, it would like spin. Or at least that.
So
now with this twist, I have some questions.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Now that we got the twist out of the way, and before we get to the very end, did Morgan help him? How did he end up with Morgan?
I have no idea.
Because he's been a ventriloquist dummy, I guess, since whenever his body was in there. At least probably 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
No, it has to be longer. He's been alive forever, he says, for a long time. So he had to be in this dummy's body for a long time. How he ended up on Morgan's thing, was he just like, hopefully. Like, it's so convenient that the demon would be at a talent show. Because other than that, a ventriloquist dummy is not something that can just be places.
No.
Like, if you see a ventriloquist dummy that's not at a magic show or talent show, then something's wrong.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong place. And also, like, was Morgan helping him kill demons? Like, if he knows that this person was killing demons and he wanted to kill Buffy, why was he like, no, we can't? Like, if he thought Buffy was a demon.
I think that, I feel this is just total total conjecture. I have no solid evidence of this. I think that he wouldn't want to kill Buffy because she is in his school and it would be very suspicious. Like, there's already been like a couple of deaths in the school and he's been acting really weird and people are already suspicious of him. So if Buffy dies, then, it'll point more fingers at Morgan.
Yeah, I could see that. There's just that line where he's like, when the dummy is like, do we even get the dummy's name? I don't think. Oh, it's Sid.
Sid.
When he's like, hey, just this one more and that's it. Only one more we have to do. Which implies that Morgan has been around for killing other ones.
Yeah.
And as we can see, he's not really efficient as a demon killer.
Yeah, no.
And I also thought when he first started talking, when he was like, I'm a demon hunter, I was like, oh shit, those people, that girl you killed was a demon? And he's like, oh no, you missed the demon that you were going for. I thought he was like I thought he was harvesting body parts of demons at the very initial part when he was explaining. But
yeah, which is why it's such a good twist, Vance.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen it done this way where the dummy's actually the good guy.
Yeah,
in this kind of a twist,
Yeah. So Giles goes to the talent show and he's like, let's do the power circle. And everyone's like, all right, yeah. And so
cool, just step over the bodies and the fallen chandelier.
Yeah. So the plan is whoever is not in the circle must be the demon.
Yeah.
So they do the power circle. Buffy and Sid are sitting in the rafters, like up high, and Sid is giving more of his backstory of like, man, you know, back when I was a person, I used to hook up with all these chicks, and he's like, so what's up with you, Buffy? Like, what's your deal? And she's like, I'm a vampire slayer. He's like, you're the Slayer? No way. He's like, I used to hang out with this Slayer. She was a Korean lady, and she and I had some real good times. Yeah. And Buffy's like, oh. And he's like, if you want to have some good times before I, you know. So it's also learned that once the dummy kills this last demon, he dies. This is like a way to free his spirit or whatever, and the curse. Yeah. And he's like, hey baby, how about before I die and we kill this demon, you wanna hook up? And Buffy's like, oh God, the horny dummy thing wasn't an act. And he's like, no, it was not.
Oh, and I love these, like, oh yeah, in the 1930s I used to hook up with this Korean Slayer. She hot bod. And I'm like, we're getting information that there are more Slayers, which I like subtly, but it's also told in a way like they're always these hot women, maybe? I guess. I don't know.
But I do love that.
You're the Slayer?
Yeah, I love that Buffy's like, I guess this horny thing isn't an act. And he's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, when he puts his like little hand on her leg and she just lifts it off. Yeah. Like, man, it's kind of great.
It's so good. So they do the power circle. They come down and she's like, all right, so who was missing? And Giles was like, no one's missing. Like, everybody was accounted for. I don't know what could be going on. And so Buffy kind of snoops around some more. And then a brain falls from the ceiling.
I was like, what is... Like, it's like slime falling. And I was like, I don't know what this is going to be. And then a brain falls in her hand. She's like, ugh. And she just drops it.
Yeah.
Cut to, and she's back in the library.
Well, also, cut to, Giles is like snooping around looking for a missing person. And Principal Snyder is in the back and looking very menacing. So you're like, is Principal Snyder the demon?
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Because he's been a dickhead and he's been on their case this whole time. Yeah. So it's like, oh. Okay.
My thought was like, it could be him, but it can't lose two principals this close.
Right.
That was my only thing. I was like, this school has to be shut down.
Yeah.
If another principal goes, it needs to be shut down in general just because of the students.
Yeah, I think that they should just shut down the school and everybody go to a different high school, you know?
No, because you don't know which one of the killers is. Like, if you don't think demons exist, there is a person killing people. Like, brutally.
Yeah.
Like, the cops aren't like
people.
Yeah, the cops aren't like, well, it must have been a vampire or a demon werewolf or mantis lady. They're like, no, there's a person beheading teachers and taking the hearts out of students.
Cutting out hearts, scalping people, stealing their brains.
Yeah, like draining them of their blood. We need to figure out what's going on.
So, after that kind of misdirect, there's Principal Snyder looking menacing. We go back to the library, and Buffy's like, why did the demon reject Morgan's brain? He was the smartest person in school. And then Willow looks up his permanent record or whatever. And it also turns out that he's been missing like half of school because he's got brain cancer. So we're like, oh, that's why the demon would reject the brain.
And they were like, oh, that's why he's been acting a little strange. Yeah, the brain cancer.
Yeah, that's why he's so stressed, you know?
You know, when you have brain cancer, you just miss half a school year. Just like sporadically.
Yeah, like, man. And you also like kind of pull your hair out and get really attached to a dummy.
Yeah, like when the dummy was missing, that was my point. Like when the dummy was missing, was he just freaked out that the dummy was going to kill Buffy?
I think so, yeah.
And he doesn't want to kill Buffy. Like by your thought is like he doesn't want him to kill Buffy because then it'll fall on him.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'd be like, can you put me in detention and just lock me in this room so when Buffy's body is found murdered, like I have an alibi? Like, just put me in here, teacher. Just like leave me in here. Let's do some extra credit.
That's like the Death Note strategy.
But also, if Buffy was a demon, wouldn't she just? I guess they don't disappear when they die, so not like vampires. Yeah.
So then they're like, Morgan had brain cancer, so the demon rejected his brain, so he needs to find a healthy, smart brain. And then they look at Willow and they're like, oh, the demon's coming after you, Willow. And she's like, what? Why would he come after me? And then stupid Xander asks her some kind of math equation, and she's like, got the answer. And she's like, oh no, I'm going to die. And then they're like, well, we got to tell this to Giles. Where's Giles? And he's like, oh, Giles will be fine. He's actually really smart.
Yeah, it's like watching like Scooby-Doo again. Like the characters figuring this out so slowly.
Yeah.
Like you saw the body was at the thing. Just stay at the talent show. And I think there was a way where you could make it that Willow killed Morgan so that she could now be the smartest person in school. Like, if that school just has two people that are smart, like the demon's like, I gotta get a brain. Where will I get it from? The dancer had a great heart.
Yeah. Good cardio.
Yeah. Like what? Just kill an adult that worked at a lab or a doctor. Like, just don't kill everyone at the same place. Demons are so bad in this show.
Yeah, they're bad at demoning.
Yeah. Like, stay away from the school. There's a demon hunter and a slayer there.
Yeah.
Not the right place to be.
So we cut to Giles, who is at the auditorium with this guy named Mark. And Mark has been shown throughout this episode trying his magic act and being very bad at magic. Like, we see him in the beginning with his magic stuff. Giles interviews him when they're talking about, like, who was the last person to see Emma. Mm-hmm. We see cuts to him of like trying to make a woman disappear in the practice thing, and he's so bad at it and he doesn't make her disappear. And now Giles is like with him and he's like, hey, my assistant, she's sick. Can you help me? And he's got some kind of like guillotine trick that he's trying to do. And Giles is like, this looks pretty dangerous, dude.
It's a real guillotine.
Yeah.
What?
It cut through a honeydew.
Yeah, and I'm like, that blade is... Where did he get this? How did this get on stage? Why is this allowed? Like, this is why you don't put a librarian in charge of this thing. Like, this is insane. It's an insane thing.
So Giles gets into this guillotine, and he's like, hey, what exactly is the trick? And Mark is like, trick? What trick? And then he ties Giles down.
He's like, should this be at my neck? He's like, no, right at the scalp.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if you want Giles' brain. I don't think he's that smart. Like, if I saw that thing come down and I'm like, guy with bad magic tricks doing magic trick that he won't explain to me. Maybe I'm not putting my head in there.
Yeah. Well, it's also like Buffy talks about how the demon would want a young, supple, smart brain. And then he goes from Morgan, who's the smartest guy in school and young, to Giles, who is old and a librarian. Like,
I mean, if you just need brains and you're about to do this on stage, because this is on stage. I don't know where all the other people are at this point. But, like, he might as well just take a machete, run through the school, and just start slopping off heads, right? Like, at that point, you're going to get the brain. It must be like you do this. If he did that and he turned into the human that he was, he would go straight to jail.
Yeah.
Like, immediately, they'd be like, hey, you beheaded a person on stage, took and ate their brain. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a wrap for you.
You know, we normally let this kind of thing slide here in Sunnydale.
Sunnydale, this is normally just a slap on the wrist.
So he goes to chop this rope that's holding the guillotine up. This dude has an axe, and the rope is extremely thin.
And he's a superpowered demon.
He goes to chop this rope, and he has to do it like 4 times before it starts to get like even frayed.
Yeah.
And as he's about to do it for like the last time, Buffy tackles him. Giles is like, what's going on? The fray is like starting to split, and then it eventually splits. Xander grabs it. Hero Xander.
His hand will be messed up.
Oh, yeah.
God. That
I
rope
can
burn,
tell you
that rope
from
burn.
experience, yes, that would hurt like a mother.
That's a 2-hand grab, too, not a 1-hand. Yeah. But yeah.
Buffy's fighting Mark the demon. Willow comes to hatchet off the lock that's locking Giles into the guillotine. Buffy's fighting the demon, shoves him into the mystery box where like the person's supposed to disappear. Great transition. Comes out as the demon.
Yes.
You don't see the transformation.
Lovely magic trick, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comes out as the demon, which just looks like a giant lizard man.
All green rubber suit. Sure.
Yeah. Fighting Buffy. They're at a stalemate, and then from behind, Sid the dummy comes with his giant knife and just starts stabbing the
I'm like, there's no way you killed the other 6 demons.
Yeah.
He's like, I finally got you. Stab, stab, stab.
Yeah. The demon falls conveniently into the guillotine.
Yeah.
They guillotine its head off, and then they're like, whew, all right. And then they're just kind of gathered around the demon body. And she's like, all right, well, it's over. And Sid's like, no, it ain't. I gotta get the heart. And he starts stabbing the chest.
I thought he was going to have to carve the heart out. And I was like, are we going to watch him like off screen, like dissect this thing?
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
But he just stabs the heart twice. And then she's like, well, I guess this is goodbye. And he's like, all right, see ya. And then the essence of Sid leaves the dummy's body. Buffy picks up Sid and she's like, well, I guess you're gone now. And I could have swore that the dummy's hand was going to grab her boob or something.
Oh, no.
Just like as a final goodbye of like, hey.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where she picks him up and is like, oh, you could town rest, my dear prince. As if he wasn't just a horny thing that you thought was trying to kill you. Like, you guys did not have a bond. Like,
they bonded up in the rafters, Vance.
Yeah, when he creepily hit on her.
When he was smoking his cigarette in the library, telling him backstory. Hey, you know, I used to hook up with this Korean slave. Anyway, you want to hook up?
Hey, I had a human body before. It was good, too. Yeah.
So as all of this has been solved, the curtains on stage open to a packed house for the talent show. And everyone in the audience is looking like, what the hell is going on here?
Because it's Buffy holding this dummy that's like dead, right? Or like this like limp. Behind them is a beheaded demon, like on a thing. Giles is standing there all tussled and rough and disheveled.
Yeah.
And like Willow and Xander are just standing there. And it just looks like the principal's like, what? I don't get it. Is avant-garde? Like,
yeah. And that's how the episode semi-ends.
Yes.
And I usually, once I see the credits roll, I just exit out.
I do too, normally. And
very happy I didn't do it today.
I apologize if we've missed little tags before. I don't think we have, but
we may have. I don't know. Yeah. But after the created by Joss Whedon credit, we get the scene of Buffy, Willow, and Xander doing their dramatic scene from, what is it? Is it Hamlet? Is it Oedipus? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're doing some kind of dramatic scene and everyone's just looking at them like, what the hell are you guys doing?
It's so bad.
It's so bad. Willow runs off stage at one point, and then Buffy and Xander are just left standing there, and then that's where the end is.
Yeah, Xander flubs his lines and everything.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, what's the deal with demon body disposal?
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Like...
Yeah, because that body's still in the guillotine, I think.
Yeah. And wouldn't you assume that Buffy killed Morgan when you see her holding his dummy?
Oh my God.
Like, I would just like, I know the episode ends is great with the visual, but I'm like, this principal is not tolerating people's hearts being ripped out and brains being taken.
No. Well, also, like, at the end, like, Giles is just, like, kind of rubbing his forehead, like, oh, this is terrible, when they're doing their dramatic scene, and the principal is sitting next to him, like, this is the talent you got? Like, you made them do this.
And you made him a non-drama teacher do something.
It was so stupid. But that's Buffy the Vampire Slayer for you.
I mean, they got to thank the principal for putting them in the position to be at the talent show.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Otherwise, I mean, it could have been, I guess Giles would have been dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess he's the only smart. There's no other smart students besides Willow.
Well, Giles or Willow, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the episode. That is The Puppet Show. You got any last thoughts on this one, Vance?
I don't have any last thoughts on this, but I had a question I wanted to ask last week of you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you know how it's hard to have the balance of being Buffy and being a Slayer?
Mm-hmm.
If you had to do it, would you choose to be a Slayer?
Would I want to be a Slayer? I feel like I would, but I would do like no slaying. I'd just be super strong.
God.
I'd use my strength and stuff for selfish reasons.
Yeah, that sounds like you. That sounds 100% like you.
I wouldn't go to school.
No, I mean, you would still have to make money and like
but I could
function. You would just be robbing. You would just be robbing banks and stuff.
Yeah, I would. You know what? I would be like an anti-hero where I'd rob banks, but also I'd kill the vampires.
Okay.
Would you?
I would be a Slayer just for the simple fact that not being a Slayer, especially in Sunnydale, seems like I'm just going to die at any moment.
Very true.
Like, I don't understand why Giles is like, the principal's onto us and he can make things very difficult for us. So we should at least go through with the theater, the performance. And I'm like,
the talent show.
The talent show. And I'm like, but dude, there's a murderer around and you don't have any way to defend yourself. Like, yeah, I would be like clinging to Buffy to a point that would be so dangerous. I'm like, Buffy, what are you doing? Like, I would not go out on weekends without Buffy being around.
Yeah. Now here's a question for you. Would you choose to be the Watcher?
No. No. You'd
rather be a normal person than the Watcher?
Yeah, the Watcher has a lot of responsibility to figure out all this stuff, but has no, unless it comes down to like recanting a spell.
Yeah.
Like
he doesn't even know them off the top of his head.
Yeah, like he has to still go through a book at the moment, you know?
Yeah.
No, being a Watcher sounds awful, and like you're so close to death. At least if you're Buffy's friend, I feel like you're like, you see all the weird cool stuff, but you also get her to save you a lot. So it's a tricky one.
Well, if you're the Watcher, so basically the Watcher, if you're just Buffy's friend, you get all the benefits of being the Watcher, but you don't have to do any of the research.
Yeah. It's all the benefits without the research. But being close to her puts you in danger. But a lot of people that have not been close to her have just straight up died.
Yeah.
Like if I'm a cheerleader and my hands catch on fire, I'm like, fuck.
Well, it's also like you don't know if you're just a regular person. Like, what are the odds that you find out that Buffy's the Slayer and then you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you're the Watcher, you at least know that there's a Slayer. Like, you would rather be just a regular person and take the odds of, like, you might not get to meet the Slayer or get the protection of the Slayer.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, like, he kind of bumped into Buffy, right? As a Watcher. Like, he's been a Watcher forever. Has he worked with another Slayer before?
I feel like the Watchers and the Slayers are, like, intrinsically linked.
But where has he been? He's been a Watcher since he was, like, 15. So, like, where has he been? True. Who has he been? What other Slayer has he been, like, helping? I mean, maybe we'll find out, but, like...
I think it's, like, every generation, they say in the beginning. Yeah. Every generation, there's a...
How long is a generation?
Yeah, I feel like it's maybe, like, 10 years.
Okay.
I don't know, like, what... So, like, I'm a millennial. Like, what's the difference between a millennial and like a Gen X or a Gen Z?
Yeah, I think it's probably like 10 years.
10, 15 years?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I can't wait till his other Slayer shows up. Or did he get a Slayer? Did he get a Slayer killed? And he's like, I gotta go to Sunnydale.
Oh.
I still am going with I misread the text.
I'm still going with my prediction that he's going to die and Willow's going to become a Watcher.
I could see Willow training to be a Watcher.
Yeah, because she's basically does the research that Giles like never does.
Giles is getting a little lazy.
Giles is super lazy.
Yeah.
Like, I love that he's just like, oh, it's nice for somebody else to explain this for once. It's like, you never explain anything.
It's like, that's all your role is.
And the stuff that you explain usually is wrong. Like, you're always like, no, it's usually this.
Sometimes Buffy will find the passage herself.
Well, like, last episode, he was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a robot or whatever. Yeah, it's in the computer. And it's like, yeah, sure, it's a hyena. Go back to class. Yeah. Like, he's never right.
They should never think that it's not something that someone says.
Yeah.
If Buffy comes in and says, I think that cloud is chasing me, you say, all right, let's figure out how to take down a cloud.
Like, yeah, there's no coincidences here.
Yeah. But that's it. I would not be a Watcher. I would be a Slayer just for protection purposes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But then when you're the Slayer, everybody around you, all your friends are in danger.
Yeah. It seems like everyone's in danger, even if you're not, though.
Yeah, okay.
Like, everybody's dying.
And even your enemies are safe. Like Charisma Carpenter, Cordelia, she's never in any danger.
I mean, she went blind one episode, but she's fine now.
Yeah. I mean, that's nothing compared to Xander becoming a hyena and
eating a pig and remembering all of it and almost raping Buffy.
Yeah, and what's her face? Willow falling in love with the demon Moloch.
She would have fallen in love with this ventriloquist dummy. She hasn't learned anything.
Dude, it's like, I'll take a little bit of blurry vision for a bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the episode for The Puppet Show. Stay tuned next week for episode 10, which is titled Nightmares.
All right.
That's not too fun.
Yeah. I mean,
like the last two, it was like I, Robot, You, Jane, and then The Puppet Show. Come on.
Yeah.
But Nightmares is next.
I'm sure it's going to be a classic.
Watch it like take a huge step back. We're like loving these goofy episodes, and then this one's like, no, we're going to get serious now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we will see.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. If you want to reach out, it's boyswatchingbuffy@gmail.com, and you can follow the Instagram page at boyswatchingbuffy. Is it Boys Watching Buffy, right?
Boys Watching Buffy.
All right. That is it, everybody. Thank you. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and all that jazz. See ya.
There are things I will not tolerate. Students loitering on campus after school. Horrible murders with hearts being removed. And also smoking.
Tune into the Salsa Kings Network. Crack one open if you dare, creeps.